I've been isolating for about 2 years, and if I'm honest, it's helped me a lot, and it's come with a lot of benefits, but it has come at a cost too. And this is what I wanted to talk about because I don't think that people are talking about it enough. And it's isolation, it's becoming a really common thing. So, for me, it happened gradually, and then I was kind of forced into the isolation, and I'll explain why in a moment. But up until about the age of 25, I was seeing people quite a lot. I had housemates. I would go to parties all the time. I love techno. I still love techno. I just loved the crowds. I loved being around people, especially at the weekend. Um, and I guess over time, I realized that my body couldn't, was getting more and more overwhelmed. And I've been struggling for years to keep up since I was about 18, 19. I'm now 32. As I had anxiety, um, just generally felt overwhelmed. And I'd kind of already been isolating at this point at times, but I still had friends. I'd still go out at the weekend, and I'd still have people there that I would go and see. And especially when I was living with people, I was seeing people quite often. Um, but yeah, about 2 years ago, that was when it all changed. And I had a really severe crash. I became totally overwhelmed. I was getting panic attacks every day, from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. And I was just forced into this social isolation. I didn't have sex for over a year. I didn't go and see anyone. I didn't, uh, little interaction. I worked from home, so I didn't really see anyone, any colleagues much. Um, and it was like the cost of seeing people and being social was more than what I was able to give in that moment. And at first, I really, really resented it. I hated it, and I tried to fight back, because I felt so cut off. I felt so alone, and I just felt like I was failing because I think we often measure our self worth by the friends that we have and how social we are, and it really affected me. And because I couldn't go out, I tried to push back in different ways. And so I was playing video games a lot. I was dopamine chasing. I was trying to get dopamine from wherever I could, and not accept this isolation peacefully and outrun it whilst inside the isolation. TV, vaping, which I still do. I started crypto trading because it was giving me this dopamine, and just anything to not sit with myself. But after a while, I started to accept it, that I couldn't do anything, and this was it. And then I started to actually feel relief. Uh, I started to feel good in isolation. There was no pressure. There was no pretending. There was no triggers for my anxiety or responsibilities to see people, and it was it was like my body was finally getting a break that it wanted for so long. Um, the issue was that as I started to get better, after about 6 months, between 6 and 9 months, I didn't want to leave the isolation. I'd found a lot of comfort in being alone, and I just didn't want to leave. The isolation was almost seductive, even though I could see that it was coming at a cost. Um, like I wasn't just alone anymore. Uh, Life was getting smaller. It wasn't just about being alone. It was about my weekends totally losing shape. Like I used to go out at the weekend, but uh, now I was uh, lying in my bed at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, playing on my Steam Deck, and then falling asleep at 11. Uh, that was my weekend. I wouldn't see anyone. There were fewer people. There was less spontaneity. There's just this general feeling of not belonging, despite the fact I felt safe at home by isolating. I didn't feel like I belonged anywhere. And then my confidence was dropping, and socially I just was like, the thought of going out was horrible. I was becoming more comfortable being alone, but less able to just tolerate people. And it got to the point where this isolation almost became like an identity. And what was protecting me during this panic phase was slowly changing me. And this was going on after I started to feel better. After the 6 to 9 months, it still kept going on for at least like another year. It's still going on now. Like I'd lost people who I could turn to, and I was becoming harder to reach, and other people were becoming harder to reach. And I think when you don't have these people around you, then it's almost like things become less colorful and there's less purpose. And being safe made me realize that I wasn't necessarily happy. It's like I got into a comfort zone of isolation, but I wasn't happy about it deep down. It's like I just become someone who just stays in. I didn't want relationships anymore. Like I didn't want to go out. There's no way I wanted to date. And I still don't want to date now. And after a year of having no sex, I actually went and tried it again, and I was really, really nervous because it felt like my first time. I'd lost all confidence just because I found so much comfort in isolation. So the isolation, it didn't destroy me, but I realized that it did narrow me, and it narrowed my life. And now it's been about 2 years since that crash happened, and I don't regret isolating this much, and I still do it. But I can now see the trade-off. So I can see that isolation can be really useful, and it can give you comfort and calm in the chaos of life. But it needs respect, and it needs balance, because whilst it can help you to reset, it does come at a cost. And right now I respect what isolation can give. But I also realize it's not a bed of roses to be seduced by, that it has to come with balance. There's a difference between isolating and cutting yourself off from everyone and having a few days to yourself whilst leaving yourself open to people and to connection and to life. And for me, I don't want my life to stay small forever like this. I want to get out there. I want to reintegrate, but I realize it has to happen slowly. And I'm trying to find a way back that isn't overwhelming and isn't fake like it was before, going out every weekend. And I think that isolation, it should be a tool and not a way of life, because rarely there's happiness on the other side of it. It's like you might feel safer, but you won't necessarily feel happier. So something to think about.